today's video, I'm sharing 3 cute little ways you can add some summer touches in your home using decoupage. Join me for my first time ever decoupaging some sand dollars. Now, these aren't real sand dollars. They're Dollar Tree sand dollar joints. And if I'm being honest, I think they're plastic, okay? Because they got like the cues and clues with that little like plastic line around the edge. You tappity tap 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 on them. They sound, like plasticness. Could be wrong. Feel free to correct me in the comments. Now we're going to use my TDS Creative decoupage rice paper and 2 different decoupage tissue papers to create a little cohesive collection with these 3 pieces. Now I think it's plastic and I'm going to treat it like it's plastic and put a layer of multi-surface all over to get a nice base coat for our decoupage, okay? And I just wanted to show you here another reason you want to put a base coat on something is also the color might be off, okay? Because the little sand dollar joint might look like it's completely white, but it's like that off-white hue. So anyway, the multi-surface helps get us a nice base for our stuff to stick to, and it makes sure we're starting with the even color for all of our pieces. Now this was super easy and you can go about tracing it however you want. You can use napkins for this. You can use whatever you would like for your decoupage. This first piece here is one of my rice paper prints, and this is the thickest product that I have. It's made with handmade mulberry paper and it does have silk fibers. So it's a little difficult to tear compared to tissue paper or a napkin, even wetting it, but it still works and you won't have little fiber bits sticking out all over the place. I like to use a little bit of water on the edge of a paintbrush because it helps give me a frayed edge and it allows for easy blending around the edges of the piece. And I wasn't sure if I was going to have a whole lot around the sides, and if I did, I would just sand any excess off, but doing this would allow it to blend in if I didn't. I just took my fingers and pressed around the edges, and I did the same thing for the tissue paper. Now the tissue paper, it is super easy. It's a little bit thicker than a napkin, but it's super easy to use the water. If you want to use scissors, by all means, you do you. This is just how I like to go about it and use the same method for all 3 things. Once I had all of my little circles cut down, I grabbed some good old Mod Podge. This is just some stuff I picked up from Dollar Tree. Put a little squirty squirt on our sand dollar and then use my TDS Creative fan brush to spread a nice layer. I grabbed my water bottle and gave the back of the rice paper and the tissue paper a little spritzy spritz. This just helps to wet the fibers and make them a little bit easier to manipulate. You do not have to wet the back of these pieces. It's just something that I choose to do. I did notice with each one of these, since there was a little bit of a curvature on the sand dollars, there were some sections where there were raised pieces. And to help make sure that our piece was flat, I took my little teeny tiny scissors and snipped a section and then gently overlapped them, making sure it was still seamless, and then going back over the section that I did that with the Mod Podge. And I did that for each one of them and sat them off to the side and allowed them to completely dry naturally overnight. Once everything was dry, I then grabbed my little X-Acto knife and flipped our pieces upside down. Find it easier to kind of trim out things that have holes in them whenever I'm decoupaging them and not mess up the top section that everyone's going to see, if that makes sense, whenever I do a piece like this. So I just started by kind of cutting out little spots and then went around through the top, making sure that I was careful to stay around the edges. You're welcome to do whatever method you would like to get inside all these holes and get rid of all the excess. That is entirely up to you. I used an X-Acto knife, and then around the edges, I couldn't find my finger sander. I don't know where it is. I know y'all wanted me to bring on in the finger sander, but I just brought instead this teeny tiny little piece that attaches to the finger sander. I know it's not the same, but it did get the job done. How beautiful did these pieces turn out? I absolutely love the different floral designs to create a little cohesive collection. You could absolutely finish up around the edges with these with some gold or some silver, whatever color paint you would like, but I really enjoyed them with just the white edging. People, I am really excited about this video today because it is part of the Hello Summer collab posted by Christine over at Divine Design and Danielle at Schoolhouse Red. If you get a chance when you're done watching this video, check out the playlist. All you have to do is click the more button right underneath this video and you will see the playlist link for the collab. There are many creators joining to give you summer DIY inspiration. For this next decoupage DIY idea, not gonna lie, I took the hint when I received this package in my P.O. box. How many people have actually painted on or decoupage seashells over their craft years? Give me a paint palette down in the comments if you have. These joints were a little crusty, which made me feel like they weren't from a store. So I decided to take them and give them a nice little bath with some dish soap and then dry them joints off before I started doing anything. I picked out a few in different sizes because I wanted to give you guys a couple ideas and a couple tips if you're going to be creating these at home. And to start off, I wanted to give them a nice base coat, so I grabbed my multi-surface paint and applied a layer all over each one of these pieces, and I did 2 coats total and allowed them to dry naturally. It only took about an hour. Then I went deep diving in my napkin stash and grabbed different napkins to cut off different little sections to create a cohesive collection. If you want to do all the same napkin, you absolutely can. Just make sure you take off all the extra sneaky layers and you're only working with that top decorative layer, okay? I'm using Mod Podge for my medium. Feel free to use whatever medium you would like. Get that little layer of Mod Podge down, and then I'm going to tell you to do something that I never tell you to do, and you're going to have to be extra careful. Okay, once you have your napkin to size, you're going to grab your water bottle and give it a little spritz. I know. Who is this person, right? Listen, I promise there's a reason for it. These, whether you're working with oyster shells, whatever type of shells, okay, they are very intricate in the grooves that are all in them. They're different shapes, all of them. There's no two the same. So when you do this with a little bit of water after you've laid down the Mod Podge, then you're going to come in, and again, I don't tell you to do this ever either. You go right back in with your brush. Fan brushes for me work the best, okay, because they're thin and they get in all the little sections. You're going to be very ginger, and you're going to spread out your little napkin section. This is going to make sure we're getting into all of those teeny tiny grooves, and they're going to blend in seamlessly with the inside of the shell. If you're a beginner at decoupage, I don't recommend starting out with a project like this. And anyone, even those of us that have experience with napkins and decoupage, spraying a napkin with water, it is very dangerous because they're super thin. So I don't recommend you spraying the napkin with water lightly. I just know that the end result is going to be a lot better than if it's dry. I decided to grab one of the little sections from one of my TDS creative napkins called Golden Aviary. It's just a little bird to go in one of the teeny tiny shells. For the last one, I grabbed a napkin that had a bunch of little bumps all in it. I'm constantly asked if you can decoupage with these, and you absolutely can. I've shared the technique before that if you want to iron these out to flatten them a bit, but prior to decoupaging, you can absolutely do that. But you'll see here at the end result for this one that you can hardly see any bumps at all. There was no excess to be removed for this one, but we did have to get the excess off of our other 3 shells. And since it was pretty stiff around the edges, I was able just to take my nails and kind of pull the rest off. If you want to use a piece of sandpaper or a little bit of water on a brush and pull the excess off, any of those techniques will also work. Like so many seashells that have been decoupaged before mine, I'm gonna also add gold around mine using some of Dixie Belle's gold gilding wax. and my little gold gilding wax brush. You can do this however you would like. This is one of my favorite ways to embellish with a gold accent. You do not need to seal over the gilding wax for anyone wondering. I just accented these with some teeny tiny little pearl pieces I had laying around, little beads, and thought these were so cute sitting in this bowl. Let me know in the comments below which one is your favorite seashell. I don't feel like I incorporate birdhouses enough into my DIY projects, and today we're going to take this birdhouse and we're going to use it to upcycle this wreath I found at an estate sale. Now, I'm horrible at wreathing, people, so I try to grab wreaths that I see that I like, that I might want to use or resell, you know, because I can't. I am bow challenged, wreath challenged, and floral challenged, okay? So when I see a wreath, I pick it up. And I feel this one is really good shape. We just need to give this birdhouse a little love using a couple things. Starting off with this beautiful IOD mold I was sent from Rachel over at Stella Rose Mercantile. Anyone looking for an IOD retailer, I do have her link down in my description box. We're going to use my favorite creative paper clay for the clay aspect. Use whatever y'all want, whatever works for you, and use whatever molds y'all want. You know what I'm saying? This is just what I wanted to do with this particular design, because the floral pieces that I am pulling out of this mold actually match the decoupage designs for the decoupage tissue paper pieces that we're going to be putting around the birdhouse. To attach the clay, you can use whatever works best for you. I just happen to really like Type-On Quick and Thick. I used to use regular Type-On wood glue as well. For the decoupage portion, I'm just going to grab a couple little sections that I think are going to match really well on this birdhouse for my TDS Creative decoupage tissue paper. I'm going to put a base on the rest of the house that is not the roof, using my multi-surface here, and once it's dry, I'm just going to take some good old Mod Podge and then attach our sections of the decoupage tissue paper. Use whatever medium you would like, and use whatever tissue paper or whatever napkins you would like to put onto your little birdhouse. Take this idea and remix it with what works best for you and whatever wreath you're deciding to DIY. I trimmed the pieces down to size and then sprayed the back of our tissue paper and gently applied onto the house. I lined up each of the white sections in the paper with the corners, so this way it blended and looked like one complete design was wrapped around it. Once this was dry, I then grabbed a brown to do the top of the roof, and I'm just using some apple barrel acrylic paint for this. You can use whatever you would like. This is just what I had on hand. I allowed this to dry and then grabbed some of that white paint and just rubbed a little on the top of my finger. I used that to accent and pop out all those little designs on those beautiful IOD molds. And I did, in the background, make sure to cut out the little holes on the birdhouse, so this way our little birds could get in there. Not really, we're hoping no birds are climbing in there on the front door. I tied a piece of twine around the wreath so this way we could hang our birdhouse right in the center, and took it to the front door. I think the colors on the decoupage tissue paper match the floral pieces on the wreath so beautifully. Let me know in the comments below if you guys upcycle wreaths, or if you're talented enough to DIY them joints on your own. As always, people, thank y'all so much for hanging out with me today. Don't forget to stop on down and check out the playlist in the description box if you get a chance. As always, I appreciate you so much. And until next time.